Hi everyone, Jacqueline here, Croton My Garden, Canada, and today I'm going to share with you how I grow and care for my Croton plants and what I've learned over the years of trying to grow these. What I share in these videos is the methods that work best for me and a bit of information about the plant that I hope will help you be successful if you've had trouble growing these in the past or if you just want to up your game and grow more of these plants. All right, so let's get on to this beautiful plant that is actually my favorite house plant. Now, the reason I like Croton plants so dang much is because of the color of the foliage and the shapes and textures of the leaves. These are my favorite house plants. They are a tropical plant and we are growing them inside because I am in a cold climate where it goes down to -40. We have cold winters, terrible winds, and we have forced air for heat and air conditioning for cooling because our climate is prairie. So we go from one extreme to the next. But houseplants are what keep me going through the winter and get me, that allow me as a gardener to stretch my green thumb and keep gardening and keep learning about different plants throughout the winter while I wait for spring to arrive. With these being my favorite houseplant, I have had struggles growing these over the years. In the 90s, when I first got married, I was always into gardening, but I got into houseplants, and this is one that I wanted to be successful growing. And I killed the darn thing every single time. Looking back, I overloved it. And what I mean by that is I overwatered it. I didn't give it the conditions it needed to survive in my home. After years of experimenting with this plant, and I've grown these quite a few times, I finally, woohoo, have figured out how to successfully grow these in my home. And it's actually quite simple. So I'm going to share that information with you, how I've been successful at these, how I care for them, when to fertilize, and what I like best about these unique, colorful plants. So stick with me and hopefully you will either learn something from my techniques and my mistakes, or if you're new to gardening and want to try a houseplant, that you'll give one of these a try and won't be intimidated by it just because it's a tropical, colorful plant. Croton plants, otherwise called Codium variegatum, is a common houseplant grown for its striking foliage and brilliant bright colors. It's almost like a tropical plant for Christmas, in my opinion, just because of the brilliant reds and colors that are in this plant. These plants are native to Asia and Western Pacific. These plants come in a variety of leaf colors and shapes. This is the standard one that you see most commonly in the various stores and greenhouses. It's very plentiful. But then you have other ones with leaves of an oval shape, striking dotted and muted color, such as this one, otherwise called Mammy. That's the name of it. And then the color will vary right down to one that is just yellow and green. And finally, you will see plants like this, my newest addition, which is twisty leaves. There are other ones as well that I haven't got in my collection that I would like to add that are more of a grass-based Croton plant. The shape of them and the style of them is more like a beautiful, bright, variegated grass. And I'll put a picture up on the screen of the next one that I want to add to my collection called Paintbrush. And you'll see what I mean about its grass-like texture. This plant is normally a tropical plant. It's hardy in zones 11 and 12. You will see this plant in landscapes in Florida and Hawaii, and this plant can grow upwards of 10 feet tall in the ideal tropical climate. For those of us that treat these as a house plant, you will not see a 10-foot plant. You will see shorter varieties of it. This plant is extremely bushy, as you can see here, very, very bushy and very full. The leaves are large and thick, and you can hear the sound of them, how thick they are. They're almost somewhat rubbery in the way they feel. And these leaves can be anywhere from 2 to 12 inches long. So on this plant in particular, you see we have some really nice long leaves. But then on others, you can get a variety of shorter scalloped leaves. And these ones have a bit of a scallop on the edge here. And you can see they're more long, oval, and pointed. Mammy in particular has interesting leaves because at her tips, you will see she actually gets a bit of a hair-like growth come off of them, which is very common on this plant, which makes it unique. The twisty plant, or twisty croton, is the same. It also has those tips, and it's also a shiny, heavy, almost rubber leaf. When you hear it, it almost sounds papery, but it's very thick and strong. Some of the leaves have smooth or lobed margins, some of them deeply cut to the mid rib, like this, very deeply cut. And some are wavy or twisted into a spiral. And that one there is what I'm referring to as a spiral. You can see how that spirals up and is twisty at the same time. You will also notice the color in this one, undersides of the leaves is more dark purple here, right in here. And it doesn't have as much of the orange and yellows going through it, but the more exposure it gets to bright light, the more color you're going to see in the croton plants. Markings may follow along the major veins and maybe blotches. And I think this is a good example of what the blotches can look like in the plant. And random patterns. No two plants are ever the same. They're all different. Crotons tend to have unique patterns. Every plant is unique in itself. As I showed you the differences between Mammy and this cultivar that has no name. These plants, when a leaf is broke off, will exhibit a milky substance. It's almost clear in the case of Mammy. And if that comes in contact with your skin, if you're prone to dermatitis, it may cause irritation to you. So if you are one of those people that reacts, you may want to wear gloves when handling this plant. When it comes to caring for a croton plant, they have needs similar to other houseplants. They like well-drained soil. They like bright indirect light when grown indoors. The brighter the light, the more vibrant the color of the leaves and the more compact the plant is. These plants can be cut back to cause them to bush out. That is preferably done in the spring, and you will have more of a bushy plant like this one when you do that versus a single stem plant like this. In tropical climates, these plants thrive in bright indirect sun and partial shade. That would be the same in the house. If they are not getting enough light, they may become darker shades of green and purple. And if the light is totally inadequate, they may start showing signs of grayness in the leaves and become less colorful. These plants should be watered only when they are partially dry. If you were to water from the top, you don't want to water them until their first 1 to 2 inches is dry. Otherwise, they may drop the leaves and rot. And they will tell you if they aren't happy with how much water you're giving, because all of a sudden you will see rapidly dropping leaves. I tend to water all my plants from the bottom. I find the absorption rate is faster to the roots, especially if I've let them dry out too much, and they will perk up faster. It also prevents any disease or pests that might be in the soil. So it keeps that top soil dry and keeps the aphids in your house down. If the leaves are drooping, I know I went too long without watering it. Therefore, I need to give it a good soaking. And usually I will water from the bottom a good 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how quickly the pot and the roots take up that water from the bottom. You can see this plant in particular already has the roots hanging out of it, and I just repotted it a month ago. So it is doing well and it's growing vigorously. And I love the different splotches of color on the leaves. The other reason you will see leaves start dropping rapidly is if temperatures drop below 65 degrees Fahrenheit. They prefer 60 to 80 for their temperature. I keep my house at about 72, so that seems to work for them. But if it drops below 60 and you get into the range of the 50s, this plant may drop its leaves because it's felt a draft and the sudden temperature change. So it likes a nice even temperature between 60 and 80. When it comes to fertilizer, these plants like a well-rounded fertilizer that contains all the various nutrients. The ideal fertilizer for a Croton plant, such as these, is a palm fertilizer that contains a variety of nutrients. But if you live in an area like I do where you don't have access to specialized fertilizers like palm fertilizer, you can do what I do, which is I use a good multi-purpose fertilizer. I use Miracle-Gro plant food as my multi-purpose fertilizer, 12, 4, and 8. It's got lots of nitrogen in it, which helps the plants. That's my multi. I will use a teaspoon or two of coffee grounds in the soil when I pot the plant, or a teaspoon or two of coffee, liquid coffee, in a container of water that I set the plant in to soak up the nutrients. And finally, I use Epsom salts, a teaspoon of it, in a container of water. And when I say a container of water, for me, I use pie plates for this plant. So I'll use a pie plate like this. I'll fill it an inch high just so it doesn't overflow. I find my plants that are in a home at about 72 degrees Fahrenheit need to be watered weekly, or they dry out and they start flopping. My plants here seem to grow really fast in the house, which is surprising considering I don't have the most ideal climate because I'm on the prairies. I'm in the zone 3B. We have cold, harsh winters with a lot of wind, and so I keep the house a bit warmer because really we don't like to be cold, but it seems to like that. If you notice your plants showing signs of dryness, you could always put them under a sprayer and wash the leaves good, but just try to avoid not to get the soil all wet, and that will also help hydrate them. These plants like a lot of humidity. You could also take a spray bottle and gently spray the leaves. Once again, avoid spraying the soil to prevent any pests or disease, and that will also keep them happy. If you would like to propagate this plant, the easiest method I find for me, which is my preferred method, is softwood cuttings. And then to put it in rooting hormone and to start it in perlite or seed starting mix. But you can do air layering by cutting a piece of the leaf off. So thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and please share with others if they're wanting to learn or interested in this plant. I think it's a stunning plant, and I do plan on adding more to my collection. I don't grow that many houseplants, but when I do, I grow the ones I love. So thank you everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.